Hey everyone, welcome back to Life and Language Podcast Channel. I'm Ben.
And I'm Lily.
Lily, before we start, how are you doing? You looked a little tired when we sat down.
Honestly, I stayed up way too late reading about superstitions last night, which is actually perfect because today's topic is right in that world.
That is perfect timing. So, have you ever been in the middle of a conversation and someone sneezes, and then without even thinking about it, you just say, "Bless you"? Like, it's completely automatic.
Yes, it just comes out of your mouth before your brain even processes what happened. And if no one says it, the room feels kind of awkward.
Exactly. So today we are diving into why we say bless you when someone sneezes, and the whole weird, fascinating history behind everyday phrases like that. These are expressions we use without ever stopping to ask where they came from.
And before we go any further, here is today's quiz question. We say bless you after a sneeze, but which historical belief is most commonly credited as the original reason? Was it A, people believed your soul briefly left your body when you sneezed? B, people thought sneezing was a sign you were becoming a prophet? Or C, doctors in ancient times used sneezes to diagnose illness?
So, A, B, or C? I'm going to guess B, because I feel like ancient cultures were always looking for signs and prophecies and random things.
That is a very Ben answer. We will come back to the real answer a little later.
Right. So let's get into this properly. These little phrases we say every day, bless you, knock on wood, break a leg, they are what we call idioms. An idiom is a phrase where the meaning is not literal, meaning you can't understand it just by looking at the individual words. If I say break a leg before your presentation, I do not actually want your leg to break.
That would be a terrible thing to say to someone. But you are right. The phrase means good luck, even though the words say something completely different. And idioms are tricky for language learners because you have to learn them as a whole unit.
A lot of these idioms are also connected to something we call superstition. A superstition is a belief that a particular action or event will bring good or bad luck, even though there is no scientific reason for it. Like thinking a black cat crossing your path is bad luck.
Or walking under a ladder.
Exactly. And bless you after a sneeze is deeply rooted in superstition. The phrase goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. We're talking about the 6th century, during the time of Pope Gregory I.
There was actually a terrible plague spreading across Europe at that time. A plague, by the way, is a very serious and fast-spreading disease that affects huge numbers of people. Sneezing was one of the early symptoms, so when someone sneezed, people around them were genuinely frightened.
Pope Gregory reportedly encouraged people to say a short prayer, basically, God bless you, to protect the person who had just sneezed. It was a way of asking for divine protection right at that vulnerable moment.
And the word vulnerable is worth noticing there. Vulnerable means that you are in a position where something bad could easily happen to you. You are exposed, unprotected. So sneezing made you vulnerable, at least in people's minds.
Over time, the phrase got shorter. God bless you became just bless you, and eventually, in some cultures, just bless. The meaning faded, but the habit stayed.
Which is honestly fascinating. A habit outliving its original meaning by over 1,000 years.
We actually spoke to a few people about this, just to hear their reactions when they found out the real history. Here is what they said.
The first person said, I had no idea it went back to the plague. I've been saying bless you my whole life and I thought it was just polite. Now it feels very dramatic.
The second person said, in my country, we say something completely different after a sneeze. It roughly translates to health. I never connected it to religion at all. So learning about the European history is really interesting.
And the third person said, honestly, it makes me feel a little strange knowing the phrase is about fearing death. But I'll probably keep saying it anyway because it would feel rude not to.
That last one is so relatable. The social pressure to say it is massive, even if no one knows why.
Which brings us to another really interesting layer of this, the soul theory. Some historians argue the even older explanation, going back to ancient Rome and Greece, is that people believed sneezing could expel the soul from the body. Expel means to force something out, to push it away from where it belongs.
So a sneeze was almost like a crack in your body's defenses, and your soul might slip out through that crack. Saying bless you was a way of helping the soul stay put or return safely.
And this connects to a broader pattern in language history. Many everyday phrases started as genuine attempts to control the world through words. People use language as a kind of ritual, a ritual being a set of actions or words repeated in a particular situation, often with a protective or meaningful purpose.
Knock on wood works the same way. It probably came from ancient beliefs that spirits lived in trees, and knocking on the wood called on those spirits for protection. The ritual stayed, the belief disappeared.
What I find remarkable is how these phrases reveal what people were afraid of. They were afraid of illness, of bad luck, of invisible forces. And their fears got encoded into language that we just casually use at breakfast.
Edited. That is a great word here. Encoded means that something is built into a system in a hidden or indirect way. The fear got encoded into the phrase, even though we no longer feel the fear when we say it.
Right. We use the phrase on autopilot. Autopilot means doing something automatically, without conscious thought. The way a pilot can switch a plane to autopilot and it keeps flying without active input.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's quickly go through today's words so you can take them with you.
An idiom. We use idioms every day without thinking, and bless you is one of the oldest idioms in the English language.
Superstition. My grandmother had a real superstition about shoes on the table. She would not allow it under any circumstances.
Plague. The plague changed the course of European history and left traces in our language that are still with us today.
Vulnerable. Learning a new language can feel vulnerable at first because you have to make mistakes in front of other people.
Expel. Strong winds during a storm can expel leaves from the trees in seconds.
Ritual. Saying goodnight in the same way every evening can become a comforting ritual.
Encoding. Kindness is encoded into many cultural traditions, even when people have forgotten the original reason for them.
An autopilot. After years of practice, many grammar rules start to feel like autopilot. You just use them correctly without stopping to think.
Love that. Okay, the quiz answer. You guessed B, Ben, that sneezing was a sign of prophecy.
I was so confident about that one.
And the answer is actually A. The most widely cited historical belief is that your soul briefly left or was at risk of leaving your body when you sneezed. The plague explanation from Pope Gregory is also very well documented, but the soul belief is considered the older and more common route.
So I was wrong, but honestly, I am not surprised. History is always stranger than whatever you guess.
The real takeaway today is that language is like a living fossil. It preserves ideas, fears, and beliefs from centuries ago, inside phrases we still use without thinking twice.
That is such a good way to put it. If you want to keep practicing today's vocabulary, comment the word practice below, and we will reply with today's phrase.
Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.